Christopher Price. Let's start with Matthew Judon. He spoke yesterday to the media. He wants a new contract. What are you hearing about that? How do you think this is all going to pan out? We ask you. I think we've asked you before, but where do you stand now?
Yeah, there's got to be some clarity to this or some sort of conclusion to this within the next week or so, whether he gets a new contract, they end up trading him, whatever the case may be. This is not sustainable long term. You can't have this situation continue to pop up every single week if you're or if you're Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf and Matt Groh, and you have to be able to kind of close this circle. And again, it either comes in the form of a trade or some sort of contract extension. I think before yesterday, the fact that he was on the field was, reason for optimism. I think it was very, very real reason for optimism. But, after what he said yesterday, I'm not, I think we're trending more in the direction of a trade, at least at this point.
So what did he say that makes you less optimistic? Because he was pretty forthcoming when he was talking about the money and what he wanted and what he thought he was worth. He even mentioned his, injury last year and how that didn't put him at the top of the market. What makes you pessimistic?
Yeah, it's just the fact that he came out and did it again. Did he kind of reiterated all of the same points a week later, even though he was back on the field? Look, we know he really likes playing for Gerard Mayo. We know he likes the guys in the locker room, and he's comfortable here. And, any player over 30, I think, if you ask them, they would want to stay where they are, at least at this stage of his career. But for him to be able to come out and say those things again, I think that it just demonstrates really he just wants to move on. I do. I think he just wants to move on at this point in his career. And I think everyone would be happier if he did move on.
Why do you think the Patriots are playing such hardball with him?
That's a fantastic question, Ryan. It really is. I think that there's probably a couple of things at play here. I think, first of all, his belief in what he's worth may not even be in the same ballpark as to what the Patriots think, because of last year, and it was just lousy timing. Look on his part that he got injured at worst possible time, and over the course of his career, over the course of the contract. I also wonder, and this is just, I want to stress this is pure speculation on my point. I wonder if the Brandon Aiyuk situation and the Matthew Judon situation are somehow connected, because they're trying to work out money, basically. And look, if you make a deal for Aiyuk, you're going to have to extend him. You're not just going to get him for a year. And my guess is they're trying to figure out how that would look like in relation to what they're trying to work out right now with Matthew Judon.
All right, interesting. We can move into Brandon Aiyuk now. It has been reported that, Cleveland and the Patriots are the two teams. So San Francisco has given Aiyuk the ability to seek out his own deal and see if he can reach a contract agreement with the team that they would make the deal with. So Cleveland and the Patriots have that. The deal is Christopher Price, rumored to be what have you heard?
Is some sort of combination of either Amari Cooper, if you're Cleveland, or Kendrick Bourne, if you're New England. And I have to imagine that it wouldn't be a straight up swap if you're New England, Kendrick Bourne for Brandon Aiyuk. Yeah. They would have to throw picks in. And look, if you're New England and you can make the money work, and I'm talking about like $25 million a year, somewhere in the Justin Jefferson range for 3 years, 4 years, and you don't have to give up a number one, I would do that deal in a heartbeat.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's so those are the two proposals, as I understand it, that are on the table right now. Amari Cooper is a better player, I think, right now than Kendrick Bourne. But if you're New England, you can sweeten the pot. Again, I wouldn't give up a one, because look, that's probably going to be in the top 15, maybe top 10 next year. And you could be looking at a Carolina Panthers, Chicago Bears type of situation. But, if you added a 2 or maybe a 3 in there as well, I think that, you could start to talk about this thing becoming a reality.
So obviously Aiyuk has to, work out a contract wherever he winds up, whether it's Cleveland, New England, or anywhere else. Do you think he would be happy here given what the current quarterback situation is? Obviously, it would come with a boatload of money, but we know how receivers tend to be.
Yeah, I think I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that he would have to sit down with Mayo or Wolf, or, obviously his reps are talking with Wolf, but he would have to sit down with Mayo and Alex Van Pelt, and, there would have to be a level of understanding that, look, we're growing as a team. You're probably not going to be in the playoffs this year if you come to New England. So without understanding, you need to reset your expectations. So yeah, I think, look, this is a guy who's always been really good over the course of his career. He doesn't have any character issues. He's known as a good locker room guy. And so you change the scenery for him. I don't know how he'd react to that, but given what he's done over the course of his career to this point, I think you would feel pretty good about bringing him in here, at least from that perspective.
Christopher, I have a question about the bringing him in. So you're not going to be good this year. You said yourself, top 15 pick is, I think, being optimistic. Probably top 10 pick.
Yeah,
but you're growing, and the way that you look at it, I mean, the third receiver taken in last year's draft, everyone's playing with themselves over in Chicago, and. So I know Aiyuk's very good. He's 26 years old, but you're going to be paying him an awful lot of money, and there seems to be 3 or 4 elite receiver prospects in every draft now. You do think this is worth the expenditure and the capital and all that? It's not even so much for what you're giving up. If it's like a second and a third, it's that you're paying the guy instead of getting a guy with 5 years on a rookie deal.
Yeah. And Fred, that's a great point, because from a team building perspective, it used to be, let's get the talented rookie quarterback on his first contract and fill in around him with all of these elite players, and then we'll figure it out down the road when the quarterback gets to a second contract. Now you're looking more and more at teams doing that with wide receivers. And if you're New England, based on what we've seen so far, you feel pretty good about your 2 young guys in Baker and Polk. And so you have to ask yourself, well, do we want to grow with those guys and take the chance that 4 or 5 years down the road that one of those guys is going to be a 1,000-yard receiver and he's going to want Justin Jefferson kind of money? So it's a balance, because you bring a guy like that in and you become a credible passing game almost instantly. But at the same time, you maybe hinder the development of someone like Polk, Baker, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and if you go earlier, and if you do something for Aiyuk, and you want to implement him even in the next year or two, you got to make sure that the offensive line is figured out. And from all indications, it is not figured out.
Yeah. Maybe you asked for Trent Williams in that trade as well, even though Williams is 36 years old. So yeah, look, they need to lock down that offensive line. And we talked about this before, that you don't want to put Drake May out there until everything around him is relatively perfect, not completely perfect. I understand that, but you want to make sure that the offensive line is locked in, and they're getting there. They are. Over the first 10 practices. It's starting to become clear, the 4 or 5 guys that they like. You want to make sure that that Polk and Baker and the rest of the offense can work well around that rookie quarterback. So yeah, look, the offensive line is absolutely paramount. They get a left tackle locked in this summer. Like if Caden Wallace, they feel good about Caden Wallace or Okorafor, then you can start to see the offense kind of start to come together.
Along those lines, are they going to be able to put Drake May out there on Thursday night?
I think he's going to play a little bit. I don't think he's necessarily going to play a whole lot. The 2 guys I want to see at quarterback are Zappy and Joe Milton. You know what you have in Brissett. You don't necessarily know what you have in Drake May. And, I understand the trepidation with the offensive line being what it is. And I know that obviously this is a, first-year head coach, and we don't know his preseason tendencies like we knew with Bill, where, we knew Tom would play this much. We knew, for example, Brian Hoyer would play this much. We just don't know, at least at this stage of his coaching career, what they're going to do with Drake May. I would like to see him out there for a couple of series, but yeah, behind that offensive line, who knows?
I want to get back to Drake May, but just to the point of bringing in a veteran receiver, and I know this isn't every team, but Cincinnati took Burrow in 2020 with the first overall pick, and then 2021 they turn around with the 5th pick. They take Jamar Chase. And then they're in the Super Bowl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are receivers available where the Patriots will be picking. But I just thought that was an example. And then it was. And how often does that happen to me, Christopher Price? So I had to say it. All right.
Yeah, I agree with it. Yeah.
All right. So Drake May, give us a rundown. I read you in the Globe. Run heavy practice. Tell us about the quarterbacks, how they looked.
It's tough to it's tough to put the numbers out there. And I know my colleague Chad Finn wrote a little bit about this the other day, where you say, well, Drake May went 5 for 12, and all of a sudden people start to go, oh, he's a bust. Let's look to Joe Milton because he went 3 for 4 in 11 on 11 work. So it's tough to kind of drill down on the numbers. He's a rookie, and he's made some great throws over the course of the first 10 days of camp. He's made some lousy throws over the first 10 days. And it's a process. It's a long process. And they continue to feel good about where he is, at least at this stage of his development. But you're going to have crappy days like he had last Monday. I just have a problem taking that one crappy day and just kind of using it as a referendum on his overall development as an NFL quarterback. So I think he's good, and I think he continues to get better, but you're going to start the year with Jacoby Brissett under center for a few reasons, not the least of which that Brissett is steady, Brissett is capable, and you're not going to lose games with him back there as your quarterback.
I'm going to ask you maybe a dumb, simplistic, and it's a question in simplicity. But if you're a rookie quarterback, or just you're a quarterback on an NFL team, how much is, if you're going to play based on how you do in these public practices, like these outdoor practices, especially for a quarterback, like how much time is Drake May and Jacoby Brissett in the facility that you don't see them? Like the media doesn't see them. Like,
there's a whole block of time where we don't see what with walkthroughs and they talk about virtual reps and time in the film room, and it's what the public practices are, one slice of the overall development plan for for any player really. But you want to talk specifically about the quarterback position. It's just one part of it. And the other thing too is, and it's important to remember, in these public practices, it is not always delineated what's going on. Like, he came out the other day when he had that horrible day, that Monday where he went 3 for something, and we all wrote about how it was a rough day for the rookie. Well, they were working on, 3rd and long situations, and May didn't complain, but he kind of alluded to the fact that, look, 3rd and long is tough anywhere. It's tough for, it's tough for a rookie in the National Football League, a rookie quarterback in the National Football League, to be able to navigate that. The other thing too, and Jabril Peppers talked about this the other day, that he's going up against a defense that's full of veterans, that's been together for a really long time, that was a top 10 defense last year. And so maybe it makes sense in that context to grade him on a curve a little bit. But yeah, Fred, your ultimate point, I think, is a really good one, that it's only one small piece of the presentation for us. When he goes out for that 2-hour public practice, there's a whole lot of other stuff that's part of that conversation.
Yeah, just 20 hours of practice, and then they're like making the decision for a multi-billion-dollar operation based on that. Seems a little far-fetched. All right, Christopher Price, great stuff as always. Read him in the Boston Globe. He's got his breakdown of training camp every day and so on and so forth. Christopher, thank you so much for the time. We always appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care. We'll talk soon.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.